In that case, you'll want to hit me with the recap, if you remember.
It's been like almost a month. um.
Try your best.
Alright, so we basically left the what's the fucking the base, the
Grim Lake
Dark
facility.
Phoenix, yeah, the lake facility. Basically came back to Firefall, where we saw the huge refugee pop outside the walls, and we end up talking to what we believe to be one of the former 100 assassins or whatever they're called, uh, named Ka. I think that's his name he was basically given.
Yes, he was. He revealed himself as being the new leader of them. He also dons the title.
Yeah,
Amongst them, it seems that he's also brought some of what remains of the 100, although they look pretty battle worn.
yeah. But there was one person that didn't speak that I talked to that gave me information of, but it didn't directly speak to me, but spoke through Ka
Yes,
about
the hooded
some
figure
questions
behind
I
him.
have. Yep.
It seems that they're experienced in the same things that, or at least the same issue that you appear to be having, or at least they're saying it that way.
Yeah.
Although they didn't seem to give you all the answers.
Nope.
And again,
And they're very distrusting of me for obvious reasons.
of course, they did just get into a war with Easterners.
Yep.
Although it looks like you both have a front for a new common enemy.
Yep.
Although, from you also want to hit me with what plans you plan on, or what things you plan
Sure.
on taking. Yeah.
So I mean, we had a huge discussion with Mir and Arius about like how we should go about with the fighting is uh, Rio Canal and Pyramidion. I basically convinced them that it's our best interest in the immediate future to take care of Rio Canal, especially with our plans against Alcaria. And I convinced them I will go to Pyramidion to see what's the situation there is like, if I can stop it, if I can just slow it down or report back. Coin's been given permission to be, I guess, the new noble or whatnot, so that we can, in a way, act under Firefall rule, basically have their authority.
Well, it's better to have some more freedoms than less.
Yep.
Seems that,
Corbin was not wanting to sign himself to another liege right just at the moment.
of course, it makes sense after everything that's happened so far. It'd be very hard to trust any others. Not to mention he only has one, to which he still has yet to fulfill his oath. Managed to find her, but he hasn't saved her yet.
I mean, technically he's also still, well, his direct oath is definitely to her, but he also still has a letter from Stormfrost King. You need to uphold some stuff about that. So the fact that Natalia and Cordelia have imprisoned him basically kind of made his set aside on he needs to go very least get the king out or see a reason why the king's imprisoned.
Seems that Corbin has
Once
quite a
Dr.
lot to
King.
worry about then.
Yep.
One step at a time, but all the directions seem to point south.
Yep.
And unfortunately, an old comrade of his stands in the way. Alright, so. Of course, we were also, the last time you guys were also discussing with Gria, who seems to be, I just kind of also want to go over some of the stuff that did happen in the facility, just as a bit of a reminder, too.
Sure.
Um, of course, it seems Gria has finally begun to let loose a little bit about some of the information she's been withholding, and possibly about the fates of certain people that have occurred more than once. Corbin's in particular. Seems this time she came prepared, though. But it just goes to show that maybe she still has more she's hiding.
Yeah.
But yet, Corbin still hasn't left her. Why is that?
Even though she's hiding a lot of stuff from Corbin, Corbin believes she's one of the few people he fully trusts enough to be like willing to give her the benefit of the doubt.
I suppose actions speak louder than words in some ways.
Yep. I mean, something like 5 people he says he would give the benefit of the doubt to.
All right. We'll be probably picking up here where it seems to be more or less a new day, although on this particular day, you three are more or less gathered together. Corin's place is mostly built. You guys have been just kind of staying there for a little bit. It's nothing too fancy, although Corbin does recognize some of the features in the interior as being very similar to her old home on the East Coast. But things have been changed, of course. Not everything's the same.
Don't want too much familiarity. Bring back memories.
Although this one seems to be taking care of the heat problem on the inside, so it's quite comfortable to stay as compared to the rest of this fiery hellhole, as it would be called. But the day will mostly be yours. You have been informed, though. Mostly just you've mostly been informed via a messenger that came by, but Corin has relayed to you that it seems the king is going to be letting in the citizens that day. And so he advises if you wish to talk to Ka, you should do so before the chaos erupts.
Yeah, well, Corbin makes plans to go visit them before chaos ensues.
Well, Corbin, having risen on this day, much like every day now, since he's become very accustomed to his training and even kept his habits for quite a long time. Even if he is no longer considered a member of the Guard, he still holds true to all those practices that kept him alive for so long. And so, he awakens around sunset, as always. Although this time he doesn't awaken on any sort of hard stone floor or in a sleeping bag this time. He has been able to get some better rest the last day or two after returning.
May I ask real quick, sunset or sunrise?
I meant sunrise. I'm so sorry. I meant sunrise.
Yeah.
Did I say sunset?
Yeah, you said sunset.
Wow, that is not a good sleep schedule. No, sunrise. I'm sorry. Sunrise.
I know it was your sleep schedule for the past few weeks.
Yeah,
but...
sorry, my bad. I guess I'm just projecting at this point. No, sunrise.
Okay.
Yeah, so sunrise.
Okay.
And he can see the through some of the slits in the smoothened out basalt stone here with its polished black. Through the slits of it, he can see the sun beginning to peek over the horizon just off the coast, reflecting a beautiful purple and orange as it begins to rise. And on that particular day as well, he can hear that there's already a bit of stirring downstairs. Not much to his surprise anymore. The others tend to be very early risers. Although he remembers Gria doesn't exactly rest, so maybe she's had things on her mind this time.
Corbin goes over to the wash station and basically looks in the... I'm assuming there's a mirror there?
Of course, all the very fancy things are all in there.
Yeah. Just basically kind of looks at his appearance, realizing the changes that's happened due to the machine facility. Basically, and kind of wondering what he has become. I mean, looks to the side next to the wash bin where the mask that Gria put on him lays, and you can't help but touching it when he turns to it. Get the smooth cold. The cold sensation kind of runs up his hands, but it's a comforting feeling to him. For the reason, whatever anger he had been started building up in him since he woke started to calm down. Corbin says, I gotta figure out a way to get rid of this anger, temper it more.
As Corbin is thinking to himself, he looks back from the mirror, examining his now almost worn face, he can begin to see some of the exhaustion, some of the drama, some of this tragedy beginning to slowly reach up to him. And as he continues to think about it, even in his dreams, that he can't simply just escape them. All these slowly pile up, but yet he finds himself here in this very quiet moment. Enough to think to himself. A moment of peace for a second, and looking at the mask is very much a symbol and a tool in order to keep himself calm. But at the same time, just looking at it as well, he knows it has no effect simply looking at it, but yet it was made for him. That much he can't deny.
Which always begs the question is, how did Bria come to this?
He probably wonders, what did Gria have to go through to make this? To what lengths did she have to go to make this? It couldn't have been pretty, especially knowing what kind of anger could well up within him, if not being controlled by the mask or a very, very strong sense of core and resolve within Corbin, it could very easily run rampant. It could have been a very, very dangerous time and a very dangerous tool to make, but yet she made it for him nonetheless. And without desire for thanks, she simply made it for him, with or without his permission. Yet, he still feels grateful. There are still people out there watching his back, but they don't need his title and they don't need his recognition. Being in their company is often enough. And he thinks about Eliana now. Perhaps she also found this kind of confidence in him, too. Corbin may not have spoken much. He may not also have been the friendliest face, but he was there. Perhaps these others feel the same. Time is yours.
Gorman decides to put on his gear, put the mask on, and head downstairs. See what's all going on.
From downstairs, it seems Corin and Gria are enjoying their sort of odd-looking breakfast. It seems to be the same as every other meal in Firefall. A very large hunk of meat that puts the table size to shame. And very
Corbin can't
little
help.
vegetables to speak of for a healthy diet.
Yeah. Is the only thing they eat here is meat?
It's the only thing they have here, Corin says, looking at it. Where do you think they're going to grow any vegetables or anything else, really? The whole place is on fire.
Can't do anything underground.
Well, actually, first of all, importing stuff is kind of expensive considering the East is kind of wrecked, but I've actually got a new basement. I was hoping to maybe try to get something going down there. I was working on getting a daylight spell so we could grow stuff so that, don't have to eat this all the time. But, like I said, it's kind of hard to get stuff imported.
Well, we live in weird times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The message.
Yeah, I'm gonna go meet with Ka and to our situation and our plans to go to Pyramidion.
We know who that woman is, don't we? The hooded one.
I have my suspicion. Probably the former Empress. Or Emperor, excuse me.
Pretty brave of them to bring them here if that's the case.
If that's, I would say, more dire than it is brave.
You have to admit it is brave.
No, I'm not denying that.
Even if the consequences are dire.
It's when in doubt. If I'm gonna show how bad the situation is down there, though.
Yeah. I'm more surprised Natalia didn't try to finish her off. Not that it matters anymore, I guess. They're
I'm
here
assuming
already.
that what's left of her guards, the ones that are protecting her, probably managed to got her out.
Yeah, and Kaz seems like a pretty devout follower. Kind of reminds me of you in some ways. You know, just less mask and more sand. Shut the hell up. Shut up. I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Okay, I'll put that in my system. Yeah, I can see how that when someone's basically helped you out of dark situations, parts of life, it's hard not to be very defendant of the one that did it, or to show unfathomed loyalty, I guess.
Yeah. Although, pretty surprised. Mir and Arius seem like they'd be pretty distrusting of others, but if they're willing to let them in,
They probably have their own plans for scheming.
yeah, they're definitely schemers. I mean, at least one of them is.
One's definitely a schemer, the other one just wants to make profit. And unfortunately, the one that's the king is the profit one. Well, actually, could also be fortunate, depending on how you view it.
Eh. Well, either way, it seems at the very least their interests align with the people. So if they're getting a place to stay, then well, more power to them, I guess. Less people in the hands of Cordelia and Talia. Really not surprised they turned so tyrant.
I'm not surprised Cordelia, and I'm just more surprised Natalia will forsake everything about Stormfrost or Cam- Cambria and all that.
Maybe that's just her way of getting revenge. She had her oath broken. Guess now she breaks it off with the one she's been following. With Cordelia leading her, I can't imagine anything's gonna be very calm. It's pretty soon here.
No. And she is one of the dragons. So that would help with the situation up north or against Alcaria if we if we need Severance, one of them. She's one that we have a good chance of doing it between you and I.
I don't want to have to do it to Cordelia.
Neither do I. But I just at the very least want to hear out the situation, what the meaning of all that going on down there before I decide on that.
Yeah. Glad we can at least be rational and try to think this through. We don't want to be jumping into any conclusions yet. Even if it looks bad, it may not be all bad. Who knows? The best thing
So
we
I
can do is
know.
head down there and find out.
Yep. So I know Mirrors gave you basically a noble status, or at least authority of Firefall. Did you see what it comes with, or what we're allowed to bring down there with us?
Honestly, not really. Kind of just gave me the title so that I could sneak around and do whatever I wanted.
Very helpful.
Yeah. Although she said if we needed backup, just contact them, and it wouldn't be a problem since we have someone with that title. I guess that's mostly what it's for. Well, no surprise, she is a schemer.
Even though I basically said, well, whatever. But probably had some sort of political understanding with among the other families, so she had to do that instead of like playing favoritism to people outside. If you didn't have the title.
Well, I'll gladly accept. I mean, after all, my title doesn't mean much in the East anymore since the city's been kind of blown to bits.
I might rebuild. Just take some. Guria, how are you doing?
Well, as
I'm
Corbin
assuming
examines
Gria's in
her
the room as
now.
well.
Sorry, what's that?
I'm assuming Gria's in the room as well.
Yeah, she's kind of just sitting there and listening.
Mm.
As Corbin looks over to Gria, you can see that she seems kind of lost in thought. She didn't seem to hear you.
Gria, is everything alright?
Huh? Oh, um, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
What you thinking about?
Just the situation with the dragons.
Any insight for us to know?
Um, uh, she seems to be trying to say something, but she almost seems unsure, reluctant. But Corbin can tell it's not because she can't trust them, no doubt. It's almost as though she has reservations about something. She were a little bit, almost a hint of fearfulness in what she was about to say. And she doesn't seem to be able to find her words. I don't know. Just thinking, that's all.
If I may ask, how did you come across this mask? Corbin just seeing her situation, but trying to change topic.
Well, there were some things I had to do, and they weren't pretty. You were controlled by that power for a little while, so I had to find a way to keep you from going wild. I ended up having to experiment on you a lot. Though I did
Was this
find
from one? Was this from one of the other worlds? Assuming.
the last one. Point is, I did manage to piece it together. It's just it cost something. I don't really want to talk about it right now. But
Very well.
I will tell you about it one day. And as Gria looks up at him when she says that, Corbin sees into her eyes, but he sees something he wasn't expecting. His eyes weren't just sadness, but almost as though looking for forgiveness.
Corbin basically stands up from where you're sitting, goes up to her and basically put his hands on her shoulder. It's like, I can wait. Right now, I'm gonna go visit Ka before the refugees start flooding into the city. Y'all can join me if you want. We can stay here.
I think I'll stay here. I have some things I want to think about. Horn's seemingly debating what to do. I'm gonna see what I can do to poke around. I'll let you know if something interesting comes up before we go.
Very well.
Meet back here at the end of the day, I guess?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. And so she puts away her, looks to be like a stone bowl, but it's very, how can I say? It's polished black stone, but it's not smooth. It's a very poorly made bowl.
Is this Gria? Or
No,
Corn?
Corn, both of them. You as well noticed that the utensils are very terrible.
Very crude.
Yes. Yeah, okay, so anyways, you tell me what you want to do.
I guess. Is the house outside the city or is it inside the city?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Is the Corn's house inside the city or outside the city?
Yeah, it's just on the coast, so it's a short walk away from the rest of the city. It's away from most of the commotion.
How much time do I have until refugees are let in?
Mm, the plan looks to be about just before sunset, so
So I have a little time. Okay. Uh, do I remember where Kalia Ray is being held?
she's not currently in the city.
Oh, she's not.
No. Although there are representatives for her. The Viper Chief is also up by the KRC camp.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, not Kalia Ray. Excuse me, Felicia Ray.
She's being held in the Nakano house right now.
Uh, is she awake? Like, is she like? I've remember her like being in some sort of damage or slumber.
Indeed. She is in the Nakano house, but he hasn't seen or heard anything about her activity in a little while.
Hmm. He's gonna place a quick visit in Incarno House.
As you pass through the Nakano house, you see that some of the ring knights are eyeing you for a moment before passing by. And as you continue through, you head to around where the guest chambers are, and find that two ring knights in particular are standing next to one of the doors. He takes his best guess and assumes that that's likely the room.
Corbin walks up to the ring knights and it says, "Yeah, we wish to speak to Felicia Ray."
They don't really move or respond. They don't seem to be blocking your path.
Corbin raps on the door.
You hear no response from inside.
And I go, check, go to crack the door open, and they say, "Felicia Ray, you in here?"
Upon stepping in, he sees that she lies on a bed. Seems she's still resting. Her breathing is shallow and somewhat ragged. She doesn't seem to be particularly injured, except for some of the injuries that he had noticed on the Felicia Ray in the city being a little bit more fresh than that of simply like older scars. On top of that, he tried getting her attention, but she doesn't seem to be responsive either. Looking
Does
at
Corbin
this,
sense the same energy or anything from in her?
well, Corbin
Kind of like
looking
in
at her
the
now,
Eliana situation. Sorry.
now looking at Eliana too, realizes that the cases seem awfully similar.
Are they exactly the same, or are they basically like, there's power, but something else?
Trying to sense the power alignment, he can't seem to tell. It actually seems a lot more erratic. Almost as though scrambled. It is no doubt a similar case, but to what it is bound, he can't seem to tell.
I guess would be soul, but that's not my position. Well, can't do much in here then. Corbin basically closes the door, locks behind her.
Oh, and as he does, the ring knights are still standing there in place and leaving him to his devices. Time's yours.
I want you to speak with your master or someone who represents. I know you're basically saying Nathan and Brian, but it's not here. I'm basically want to ask a few quick questions.
Okay, what do you
If you
want
want
to
to do
ask?
like, basically saying, uh, what's the full situation with Felicia Ray? Like, what they know. Also, if what the suggestion of with Eliana, if they believe that she'd be protected enough here along with Felicia Ray.
Well, in terms of the freedom with that one, I'll give it to you out of character first, so that you know
Yep.
what's going on, and then we can. Yeah. Okay. They have said literally nothing about it, with the exception of you kind of just do whatever you want. If you need assignment from some soldiers to guard a place, then they can do that, as long as you tell them why.
Okay. I guess.
But they have no idea about what's happening with Felicia Ray.
Okay.
It seems that you're the only one who really thinks that this case could be pertaining to something similar to Eliana's case.
I'm not the one that can heal him. Yeah, well, I'll still decide on what to do with Eliana at the moment. I'll start heading towards the refugee camp.
As Corbin's beginning to walk towards refugee camp, he begins to ponder. He wonders how many cases this. Why is there's more than one? How is it that this is happening to begin with? Perhaps they went through a similar condition that the others did. Or Felicia went through a similar thing that Eliana did, but how? And when would they have had the time for it? When they were trapped in that dome for so long, there must have been something there. But then again, Gria also managed to figure out a way to suppress some of the power, or some of the backlash of the power that Corbin now wields, with something as simple as a mask. Wonder if there's another method. After all, he doesn't exactly wish to die for nothing. No guaranteed results. He finally makes his way over to the camp to see that a lot of the refugees are being held by ring knights and what looks to be some firefall hunters from various houses and wielding different colors. He can see that their clearing in the center is still there, and Get takes his assumption that Ka is still once again in that center. You gonna head to him?
Yep.
He makes his way through the crowd and finds himself in the clearing once again, with some of the sand vipers there also being on guard. The hooded figure is still standing behind him. It looks like rather they're kind of organizing rather than handing out food or anything like that. He looks up to see Corbin and approaches him. I see you've returned.
I have. I wish to tell you our future plans.
Good. It was good timing before we were meant to be led into the city. Come, let us speak in private, he says, motioning to the tent.
Corbin nods his head, follows behind.
Ka opens the tent as Corbin heads in, and himself and the hooded figure follow in afterwards. He kneels with the inside the tent, and Corbin feels as though he should do the same, considering the height of this tent is a bit on the tall side, or on the short side.
So,
The hooded figure also is behind him. So,
Corbin basically hunches over and finds a spot to kind of sit himself so he can see both Ka and the hooded figure.
yes, you're just there. You can see both already. He's just sitting like across from each other, and then
Yeah.
Right.
Just basically find a spot where you can see them both this way, kind of think.
Mm.
Basically says, just so you're aware, I'm planning ahead of the Pyramidion. Figure out the entire situation down there. Tell me exactly everything that's happened, or the situation that led up to Cordelia being seated on the throne, and Natalia basically being by her side. I would appreciate it.
You see his face begins to darken somewhat. The leader of the Sand Vipers before me, the previous, Karasa, the one who had this title before I did. Of the 100 brothers that I had, brothers and sisters, we ought all serve the Emperor faithfully. We were raised from childhood to do so. Of course, some of us came from different places. I was particularly close and tried to stay and serve the Emperor as well as I could. But I also served the people as much as I could as well when the time came. Now everyone knew the legends of Ligia, or as you know as Cordelia. It was mostly myths and legends, stories. None had ever seen her before. It had been many years since any living person had seen a living blue dragon. But before she even arrived, you know that we were at war with the Easterners.
Corbin nods at this.
But that was only one of another conflict. Kara had used the Emperor for his own gains. He had betrayed the Emperor, and in doing so, he had also led many of my brothers astray. And so, in trying to reclaim that path of loyalty to the Emperor, I had led the rest of my brothers against the one who had turned against us. Some of which you see here today, some of which you do not.
How many are left here? And how many are left back there, back in Pyramidion?
None remain in Pyramidion living. Only ones left here. Of the 100, only about a dozen of us remain. And they are in no condition to be fighting. They simply wish to rest.
You have a lot of people here to need to take care of. I understand, but the more information I can figure out what's going on in Pyramidion, the better I can deal with the situation. My goal is going there is figure out why Natalia and Cordelia are doing what they're doing, why they have my former king imprisoned, and figure out if they're a threat or not to Firefall, and through Firefall to the rest of your people, if you're all being accepted into the Firefall city.
I hope to leave my people into good hands, and I believe that despite the way they look, I can see it in their eyes. They are not evil people, and I'm sure that they will see to it that my people are taken care of. Slavery was not something I believed entirely in. And
Were you a former slave?
The brothers come from many walks of life. But I, in particular, yes, I did.
So that's something we both share.
I can see it in your demeanor. The way one carries themselves often speaks volumes. But one thing. If you wish to gather information, you run the risk of possibly engaging. This is obvious. This is very obvious, especially for a warrior as yourself. But with a dragon, extra precautions must be made. So let me tell you this, and maybe you can glean some wisdom. When Ligia had returned, with Natalia by her side, just after our conflict, many of us were worn. Many of us had passed. As she was able to reclaim her power and garner some attention, we came to find that her lair had lurked just beneath the city of Pyramidion, just beneath it, and laid in waiting the whole time. And once she has regained her power, she also regained all of those myths and legends of her. She lived up to them and more. She struck fear into the hearts of all of my people, to which she still holds prisoner now, to a fate worse than what slavery could have ever done to them. However, that wasn't just all. She had her own beliefs, and with Natalia by her side, what better enforcer to have? And the Emperor was dethroned and passed. There is no one left that the people can look up to there. And so, Cordelia had taken everything and more. She had reclaimed her legacy and then had come to rule the very people that she meant to rule so long ago.
Corbin kind of looks over to the hooded figure and he's like, and I'm assuming you're the former emperor or emperor.
Perhaps you did not hear me. The Emperor had already passed.
Did the emperor not have an heir?
No. The previous Emperor had definitely passed, and we will see no more of them.
Then if you're, I understand you're basically the one that leads, but guards the former emperor or leader of the previous guard. But I see that you're protecting this one. What's so special about this one?
Then let me ask you. Need I ask you what is so special about the ones that you care about as well? Need I ask you why you need to protect them? The answer is simple.
Let me rephrase this a different way. I'm just trying to understand who your friend is. If this person's identity needs to remain hidden, then it's not my concern. But all I'm trying to do is basically make sure we're all on evil grounds. And any information your friend here that can help me, I would appreciate.
The hooded figure leans over to him just as Ka is about to speak and whispers to him. You see, he slowly and reluctantly turns to Corbin. He hesitates for a moment, almost trying to gather his thoughts before finally speaking. The hooded one behind me says that she sees something in you, something hidden behind that mask. She had seen a power like it. It was one that once too held her in place.
Corbin,
But you may hold another in place, whether or not you know it.
Corbin basically fully understanding what this person is saying, grabs the mask, takes it off, and looks at the hooded figure. using his keeping his full concentration in check in order to make sure everything stays in control, and hands the mask to Ka.
Ka continues to stare at Corbin now as he can see that his eyes very much catch Corbin's, almost as though looking, trying to peer into his very soul, as he holds the mask gently before examining it somewhat, and then handing it to the hooded figure, who examines it a great deal, admiring its details and feeling its marks.
A lot's happened to me last couple weeks. I have a lot of questions and no answers to, and it's caused a great deal of harm to people I care about. One reason why I'm going to Pyramid is to find those answers.
You see that the hooded figure, as Corbin watches them handle it, he can see that they even just begin to sadden, almost to a great degree, as he slowly hands the mask back to Ka and whispers in his ear. This was made with a great deal of weight. You must have someone that cares very much for you. I see it doesn't come without a price, as he hands the mask back.
Gordon puts the mask on first. It's like, as do many things in life, everything has a price. But some things come at a greater price than others. And the person who gave me this mask is someone I trust very dearly. Just as you protect this person behind you, she is someone I would do the same for. Goldman basically kind of gets up. It's like, if you wish to discuss with me, I'll be at inside, or
The hooded figure puts their hand up just before Corbin is preparing to leave. Ka leans over, but the hooded figure pushes him away. He speaks in a very soft and gentle voice. It almost sounds a little bit raspy, almost like pained. To save the one you care about. You must cast aside the mantle that holds you there.
Corbin looks to her over and says, "The power or the person?"
The heart and the soul that controls that power. That power is not yours, but it can be. And when it is, you'll free them from their bond. But you must cast aside that which holds you there.
Corbin bows his head slightly. He's like, "I appreciate the advice, and I'll take what you said into consideration." And figure out the question you pose and see if I can find the answer to it myself. Does she attempt to stop Corbin as he kind of starts to leave?
No, she seems to put her hand down and look downward somewhat.
Corbin stops at a flap before opening it up and says to both of them, "These are troubled times. No one else says we always have to be doom and gloom all the time. Come by the estate if you ever want to relax for a bit. It's also be a little bit cooler than it is out there. Corbin kind of referring to Firefall itself. I'm sure my companions will have no problem with this.
We tend to find the warmth comforting.
Yeah, but this is a different type of warmth. And then
Maybe.
Corbin goes through the flaps.
As Corbin passes out from the flaps, Ka does not see him out. It seems that he is not coming out of the flaps either. Looks as though he's in there still. Corbin takes that as his cue to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wonders what it is that she could have meant. Why was she inclined to help him this time? She saw something in that mask. She saw something in Corbin as well.
How much time is left in the day?
Looks to be almost midday. It's almost about time for the refugees to come in, so...
I thought you said sunset was coming.
Sorry, yeah, my bad. Yeah, sorry, it's almost midday. Not time for the refugees to come in. I'm sorry, I'm getting you know, my head's all...
I'm just limited to asking to clarify, so... Alright. I'm gonna stop by the Okame estate.
Okay. As Corbin begins touring some of the grounds now, passing between the guards that held the refugees in place, he makes his way over now to the Okami home. It looks like they're, at least with the people that he sees moving in and out, they seem to be quite busy hauling quite a lot of stuff.
Is anyone there recognize?
Most of them seem just like workshop workers, with the exception of one, a companion of the Firefall teams. It seems that she's directing quite a lot of people. It looks busy.
Corbin goes up to her. Yeah, I'm assuming I know you're busy, but is there something I would like to discuss with you? Something you might find interesting.
Yeah, just set that down over there. No, over there. Okay, yeah, sorry. What do you want to talk about?
Corbin kind of points to the mask.
You asking me how it's made?
I'm assuming it's something that Tyler made in a general set of the themes. But I was wondering if you have a figure out a deeper understanding to it.
I could. With some time. I might be able to figure it out if you leave it with me. But I'll have to do it in private.
How much time do you need?
If you're willing to leave tomorrow, I'm not sure if you're leaving tomorrow or tonight, but if you're leaving tomorrow to head south, then I could work on it overnight. If you're able to hold off without it.
Is there a room I can just workshop in for the time being by myself?
You could. Just, you break it, you buy it.
Just need something to keep me busy while I don't have the mask.
Although, as much as I'd love you tinkering with some tools, you see...
come on now, you know especially is alchemy.
You see that she gets very serious for a second, and whispers something in passing. I don't exactly want the KRC to see what you're doing. I have a feeling they're going to be watching you. He says, and that's kind of why, broken a few tools here and there, so I don't exactly feel comfortable lending you any spares.
Very well.
Sorry. But come by tonight if you want to talk. I'm all ears.
I'm assuming she's doing a sheepish grin when she says that.
Something like that, but she also does have a look of seriousness about her. At the very least, she knows how to put on a face in front of the other workers.
Corbin kind of nods his head. It's like, very well done.
Looking around the room, he can see a couple of faces of KRC members here and there, with some uniforms. Looks like they're tinkering around with some tools as well, but some of them mostly to be observant. Others are actually working on a thing or two here. He sees what she means.
Mm.
Although it's kind of odd. As he has come in here for alchemy before, he hasn't seen them in here very often. Seems that the numbers are increasing inside the Okami shop.
Corbin kind of squints underneath his mask and just basically starts heading out of the building.
As Corbin heads out, and you see that, it's still busy. Some of the men are now moving other sorts of supplies over to different buildings here and there. It looks like they're also moving construction materials and other sorts of things around.
Corbin kind of thinks to himself, like, still midday. I can't. And if I visit Kiana at night, what to do with my time? I know one person I can bug, though she might not like it. Corbin just heads off to the KRC.
Oh my god, you guys just love bullying. You guys love bullying. Oh my god, what is wrong with you people? Okay.
No, I'm not really bullying, but it's like I just want to get some information from her
but
as well.
It turns into bullying.
Nah.
As it should. Okay. Anyway, as you make your way over to the KRC camp, there are quite a lot of men there seemingly running and training in formation. Although, of course, Corbin sees that as much as a tough act that they're putting on, you can still see that there are a lot of them are sweating rather profusely. Even just some of the guards standing by are just sweating in place. He makes his way up the hill without much of a look from the others. Makes his way over to what looks to be the main office building, or work area. As he steps in, he can see that it feels a lot cooler on the inside. And on the other end, he can see the Viper Chief buried behind piles of papers.
Corbin approaches her and says, anything I can help with?
She looks up, almost with just a defeated look. No. Look around. You think you're gonna be able to just sit down and start what? You're gonna help me write my name on all these too?
Corbin grabs a seat next to her. It's like, you want me to sign a bunch of paperwork in your name and say, job help? Or do you want this distraction, something to help brighten the mood a little bit?
I've had my day of distractions already. I've already had 3 people visit me. I don't exactly need more. Besides, I've also got my hands full with planning on the north. You see she's got a couple of documents on real defenses and a couple of other maps with some all sorts of things drawn on it. Don't know how I ended up here, but here I am.
You have an eye for strategy. It's the reason why you're here.
Yeah, and apparently sweeping too.
I think this because the Kaleidolus likes messing with you that way.
Seems I'm on everybody's list. Not to worry. Besides, if I get upset, I can always just make all the guys run again.
Very well. Corbin basically reaches in and hands her a flask. It's a little drink I make. You might like it.
What, trying to drug me on the job?
No, doesn't do anything like that. But it might brighten your mood a little bit. Corbin kind of proceeds out.
Ah, fuck it, he says, grabbing it. She looks at it and kind of tries to smell it. What is it actually?
Hot chocolate.
Ah, okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
He smells it. Is this? No way, right?
Try yourself.
She takes a swig, and you see that her eyes narrow a little bit. It's pretty damn good, actually.
It always helps.
Tastes better than the actual thing, but doesn't feel like it. Kind of watery.
You make do with what you have.
I guess so. Hey, you might just be my best visit today. Instead of getting annoyed the whole time by the bunch of assholes coming in.
I was planning to ask a few questions, but I see you're obviously busy, and I don't. But at very least, I can at least brighten your day up a little bit.
Well, ask away. You've already bribed me. You may as well finish and follow through.
My question, two questions really. One is basically to increase activity in north. I know, I understand basically. It almost feels like there's like 3 armies bearing down up there. I was wondering what the KFC is planning it, just helping the defense, or are you guys looking for something?
Well, I'm just here to make sure that these guys don't die, so
That's fair.
it's not up to me to determine whether or not we want something. You know who that's supposed to depend on.
I know. I was wondering if I can just get a clearer view of the situation up there.
Well, as for what's going on in the north, Rio's defenses are a little bit better than I was expecting, but not the best. Looks like there's going to be quite a battle. I think Eichmann's going for bait and switch. Looking like he's got a distracted force coming from the south. We're in control of the western bay, and Rio's control of the east. Although it looks like we've got a huge storm coming in from the north, and the Deathstalker threat seems to be backing up for some reason. Got a bad feeling about it.
Gorman can't help us give a small smile underneath his mask about the soccer situation. Alright. That's a little tidbit. Second question is, what do you all know of the situation in Pyramidion?
Well, all we know is that... Well, all I know is that I don't have time to deal with that. I'm sure you guys seen the bounty. Not like
That
we
I
can
have.
do a whole lot more than... No. On Natalia.
No, that's what I said. I said that I have.
Oh, do you have it? Oh, okay.
I've seen the bounty.
Alright. Well, it's pretty much an open contract, so... If you kill her, great. If you don't, not my problem. For now, that is.
I would assume that you guys have more spies down there, especially with the the colony king there.
Officially, we don't. Unofficially, we do. Some of mine. Doesn't look too good down there, to be honest.
I'm planning to head down there myself. Any information you can spare would be appreciative.
Well, looks like some of your Firefall friends here are taking pretty good care of Merkel Oasis, so it looks like they're funneling across the desert. And a lot of them aren't gonna make it. Seems like a huge mass exodus.
Are you saying there's a bunch of refugees about to be attacked?
No, I'm saying that they're trying to leave the city in mass droves and they're dying in the desert because of it. Not to mention inside the city's starting to go dark. Not gonna be able to figure out much longer if Cordelia and Natalia keep picking off my spies. At this point, I'm gonna run out. Information's the only thing we have going for us. As far as I can tell, it looks like Natalia and Cordelia have gone full tyrant. They don't exactly hope for any sort of opposition, and snuffed out pretty fast.
Gorman kind of leans back in his chair.
Although there is a bit of a surprise. She got rid of slavery, so they have no clue what they're doing, but they also have no working class and no ruling class, so everyone's just vying for survival in one big free-for-all. It seems Cordelia is actually trying to take control of the country and make sure it either collapses or she tries to make it work. Or collapses while she tries. I don't know. At this point, it just seems like chaos, but looks like they're trying to implement something, and she doesn't trust enough people to actually make a ruling class. Talk about paranoia. Maybe that's just the way dragons are. Who the hell knows?
Depends on dragon. Alright, Emily. I appreciate the information you've given me. I'll no longer be a distraction for you today.
Alright, well, good luck if you're heading down there.
Corbin basically nods her head to her and basically heads out the office.
As he leaves, he wonders about what she said. Maybe Cordelia was trying to govern them, but she has trust issues. Eh. He almost thinks about the irony of that.
We'll find out as we get there. Corbin heads back to the. I'm assuming it's probably mid-afternoon right now.
Something like that. You
I
can
have
also you can also just make your way
Sorry again?
back, or you can do whatever you want, or you can kind of just wait till the end.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I have no connection to any other families. I guess maybe Tartarus, but that's barely anything and wouldn't have serve no purpose for me. I can probably head back to Corin's house and see what's going on there. But I figured Gria's probably doing something and Corin's probably snooping around, doing her thing. So probably best off just waiting until nighttime or helping out where I can with with menial task for the refugee occupants to come in. And then basically as they refugee occupants kind of come in, I can use my powers to kind of sense if there's anyone among them that I should be wary of. Kind of like fishing out to see if anyone pops out. Like it has any power similar to mine, or mirrors, or any other. Basically, anyone from Dark Phoenix.
Well, Arius comes out, and many of the heads of the houses are also there, as Arius makes a rather not very grand speech, but it was welcoming to the citizens nonetheless, who seem a little bit confused at the newfound freedom in front of them. They reluctantly make their way through, as Ka is assisting them with organizing into their respective groups. It looks like they're all going to find their occupations amongst the houses. And of course, some of them are immediately put to work as they begin to gather into groups and carrying stuff. Although, before then even, it looks like they were at least shown and talked to by the heads of the houses, and each looks like they're in good hands. But as Corbin scans majority of the crowd as they're funneled through, he sees no such individuals as the crowd begins to thin and the sun is well on its way to setting. As much as the commotion dies down, it seems that quite a lot of the citizens have been thinned out from the very large crowd now. And as he looks around, he sees that Firefall has become very populated. There's significantly more people at almost every turn, most of which seem to be assigned to unskilled labor. Although he can see that quite a lot of them are also assigned to some construction as well. Seems
Yeah,
majority.
build the houses.
It seems that they're all building housing for everybody else. And it's going up quite quickly. Looks like the materials were well prepared beforehand.
Corbin can't help but think to himself, Mir's always prepared, apparently. At least one of those family siblings are plans ahead.
Well,
Corbin starts heading up to the Okami house.
the Okami house, you can see that a very large number of people are lined up outside, mostly with supplies that they seem to be carrying in. Seems the house is almost entirely flooded with supply packages in and out.
Hmm. Is Kiana commanding them, or is...
It looks like a lot of directors, not just her. She doesn't seem to be around at the moment. Either that or she's inside.
Corbin decides to head on inside?
Well, trying his best to squeeze past as many people as possible, he can see that Yana is at the center director's post there. And as he forces his way through majority of the crowd, he sees her passing. She sees him coming up. Making your way under the cover of the crowd, huh?
Corbin goes up to her and says, well, it's kind of hard. I stand a little bit.
It's okay, they'll clear out soon enough. You see that she kind of motions her hands to some of the some people by the main door, and you see that some of the men stop filtering in, and a lot of them start to be moving out now. And eventually the room clears for the most part, with the exception of a few cramped workers who look quite exhausted.
Quite the grand show you performed.
Well, someone's got to deal with all this. So you here to drop it off?
That I am. Corbin basically goes up to his mask and grabs it, takes it off, and hands it to her.
I'll have it drop back to your place by midnight.
Corbin basically grabs the hood and basically kind of covers up as much of his face as possible. Just kind of, it's like, I appreciate it. And then Corbin starts heading out, and then before he does that, he turns like, please get it. I'd rather you not spread around the information you might learn from that. I'd like to learn about it first.
I have to warn you now. You're asking me not to spread it around. I can make you that promise, but only to select people that I will be giving this information. I will charge you nothing except the information that I gain and to those that I trust with it.
May I ask who you're trusting with this information with? Though I'm assuming I know a few.
I don't think I'll need to name their names, but I can assure you that this secret won't be getting out to anyone who's not responsible enough to keep this under wraps. I can assure you that your secret will be safe with me.
Very well. Then Corbin decides to leave. Head back to Corin's estate.
He makes his way back now, passing by some of the men who seem to be resting, a lot of which are the refugees who are actually still seemingly confused by standing around and being rather idle. It's almost as though they were looking for something to do, but are not quite sure what to do. And Corbin has seen this face before. Some men find that they're without purpose. They often idle, but in this case, it wasn't this sort of hopelessness that he saw amongst them. In fact, if anything, it was the hopelessness being washed away. He saw very slowly a sparkle of hope in their eyes, that these refugees could have a chance at a new life for the first time. A spark he saw within himself long ago. As he passes, he already makes his way over to the beach, a little lost in thought, to see that the Corin's new home is still standing there, with its silhouette amongst the kind of casting a shadow along the water in what remains of the sunlight. He makes his way into the large stone gates. He finds himself cooling off inside now, and rests with his mind still in concentration and deep in thought to prevent anything from welling up. And even as he does focus on keeping it down, he can feel just little bits of these painful, terrible things at the back of his mind. And he remembers them slowly. But this is not the first time. It certainly won't be the last. Gria still seems to be sitting in the same seat that he left her in this very morning. Corin has also just returned as well, seemingly just passing the doors just moments after Corbin had taken his seat. Oh, there's so many people out there, Corin says.
Well, the city's just been filled. Brim, look, almost.
Yeah, well, I didn't find anything sketchy amongst them, at the very least. Not yet. But it looks like we'll be having a friend show up. Hopefully a friend. I could tell. Looks like you having your talk with Ka seems to have kind of shaken him up a little bit.
Hopefully for the good.
Well, I guess we'll find out in a second. Any second now, says, looking at the door. Any second now. And of course, inevitably, a large sort of rumbling bang of the sort of, the knocking handle on the large stone gate, as you can hear it echoing into the building. Bet you that's him.
I'll go answer it.
And as
Corbin
he does... Oh, sorry.
Corbin makes his way up.
Go.
What?
Go. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Just go. Corbin makes his way up to the door. Try and keep everything in check internally. As he grabs the door, he basically opens it up, make sure not to dent the handle or as he grasps it, knowing as his anger slowly builds up, he doesn't know how to well control it, and looks to see who knocked on the door.
As he takes a look, he is met face to face with Ka, who stands on the other side, with a hooded figure behind him. He doesn't seem to be attended by any of his other guards at the moment either.
Corbin steps aside and says, "Come in."
He seems to almost want to say something, but he doesn't, and nods his head, and the hooded figure steps in along with him.
Before, as they enter, Corbin kind of gets a quick glance outside to see if anyone was following or any station guards or anything.
You see, as Corbin is looking about, Corin is just kind of resting her head on her hand. Don't worry, there's no one out there.
Always one step ahead. Corbin closes the door.
Wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't watch our backs, would I?
No. You always do a good job.
Well, as Ka is making his way in, he seems to almost want to try to speak, and every single time he does, he almost seems to stop and reassess his thoughts before finally... I have something I wish to tell you.
Go on.
Karasa, the one before me, who is in possession of a power very similar to yours. When our battle was over, I had made my choice to spare him. But before even that, I had agreed with Natalia and Cordelia that I would help them in dealing with the so-called this traitor, the ones that had turned my brothers against me and the rest of us. The condition was that I would be able to decide his fate. And I did. And I chose to spare him. But as soon as that ended, it seems that Natalia had believed that our oath had ended there. And so Cordelia finished him off in front of my eyes. And now she is the one with that power. I am partially to blame for the happenings in the South, and thus I feel that I am too bound responsible to solve it. For you, for my people, and all those who were hurt. And so I wish to go along with you to the South, if you'd be willing to have me.
I appreciate you offering. I just want to make sure you're knowing what you're saying. Will you people be fine without you? I understand they're in part being commanded by the other houses, but I imagine they would be slightly concerned that their leader is gone.
They have nowhere else to return to. This is a life where they may be able to choose for themselves. A life where they're actually granted the freedom that they've sought for so long. Whether or not they will be fine without me, that is not a choice that I can make for them. They'll have to carry on without me one day. It may as well start now.
Out of character. They be ripping from the teeth right off the bat. Goddamn.
What? Wait, what? What?
Ripping the baby from the teeth really quick. Just like, and done.
What the hell are you
Or
talking
basically,
about?
it's a figure of speech. Basically, just ripping the band-aid off type of situation. Not like easing it.
Well, he is
Weaning.
here. You may as well.
Yeah. Okay. Back in character.
Yeah.
And what about your companion behind you? Or next to you?
He too believes in a similar situation. Well, sorry, we can't let you come with us, Corin says from behind, as Corbin is a bit surprised by her boldness of her response. At least, not without revealing who she is. That's the condition. I'm not exactly a big fan of secrets.
Corbin turns the car. You can start with her name if she has one.
Well, and as soon as he is about to speak, it seems that the hooded figure steps forward this time, with a bit of boldness as well. Well, it seems she wishes to speak for herself then.
Corbin turns to the other figure.
The hooded figure, even though stepping forward boldly, almost seems to be hesitating now.
How tall is she?
Short. Short,
Like,
as in
if I were to like kneel down, would she?
like 5'2".
Yeah. So basically, if I kneel down,
It's
she'd
like
be
mere
basically
short.
just barely taller than me. So Corbin decides to kneel down and says, "What's your name?"
You see the figure takes a very deep breath for a second. I'm not a child. You don't need to treat me like one.
Corbin just shakes his head. It's like, "I'm not."
You see that
But
Kyle
obviously,
kind of puts his face
you
on his
obviously-
hand. Almost in embarrassment or disappointment.
It's like Corbin understanding the situations or getting grasp of the situation is like the reason why I'm kneeling is to make sure you're comfortable. Obviously, a lot of stuff has happened. Last thing I want to do is want to scare you. Because we have been told by many people I have that face.
Your face doesn't scare me. I've seen your look before.
No, I can probably believe that.
Maybe it'll make more sense once I show who I actually am. You see that she immediately tears the hood straight off, flinging it away with a bit of with her arm to the side. You see
So
as the
bravado.
what?
With a little bravado.
Yeah, with a little bravado as you see that the
Yeah.
cloak slowly floats down and lands on the stone after a delay. And you see that the others are trying their best to contain a little bit of their, well, what could be considered a very rude laughter, but you see that Corin is turning her away, trying her best not to. Gria, on the other hand, is just kind of staring blankly, almost in a little bit of admiration, in fact, you could say. Ka, on the other hand, has buried his face even deeper into his hands. And then as Corin turns back, you see that she's kind of loses that laughter and her face becomes rather serious upon recognizing who it is. In a very grand and dressed up sort of regal outfit, you can see that Corbin even recognizes the face. He's heard of many, many tales of a very cruel emperor whose face was never actually even seen, but described in myths and legends, some as a very, very, very powerful, godlike being with infinite power and magic. But it could have been a very handsome man or a very large, powerful, brutal sort of tyrant. But yet, somehow or another, he's almost become used to these ridiculous contradictions at this point. As Ka's face says everything, he recognizes the ruler immediately.
Gorman stands up and turns to Ka. I thought you said the Emperor was dead.
Yes, the emperor that you knew as the first tyrant of Pyramidion is dead. The hold that Karasa had on the previous emperor is now gone. This emperor, we will return to full glory and with a different name. He will no longer be called a tyrant. She too wishes to see to that, and I will make that dream come true.
So,
You
if
see
you no longer
that
be called tyrant,
he sees she seems to stare at Corbin, almost expecting her to address her immediately, but she's almost just trying her best to still hold the pose, waiting for him to address her.
so what may I call you, my lady?
And you see she kind of looks at Corbin with a bit of a disappointed but also surprised look. Definitely not my lady. And Ka still buries his face in his hand. She's very adamant about working on the pose. You see, he leans forward a little bit. Just indulge for a second. You see that Ka turns around and kneels to her.
Very well. Corbin then proceeds to kneel.
You see that Corin, almost playing along as though it were a child, does the same thing. Of course, Corbin knows this is almost a much more of an amusing act than anything else. Although as he observes her, he's very surprised to see that she is quite young, but he wonders how. The ruler of Pyramidion has been known to have lived for more than 100 years. But why does she appear so young? He almost seems younger than Corin when he first found her.
Out of character. You're definitely making me a dad again, aren't you? You motherfucker.
Ah, yes, Daddy Borbin, here we go again.
Alright, back in. So how may I address you? Bye.
See, is she strikes a different pose this time, standing up very firm and straight up and looking very proud of herself. You can call me. Uh, you're supposed to be called Set, remember? And Kaz whispers over to her. He's like, right. I'm Setek Akman, Empress of Pyramidion. I think the Great, the first. Kaz seems to just keep sighing. We're working on it. We're trying. This is exactly why I do the speaking.
Corbin can't help but give a small smile to him. It's like, it's something you two need to work on. I'd like to know the full story behind this entire situation when you're all ready.
You see that Ka kind of regains his composure, and you see that Emperor slash Empress Set now, as you will be calling her, appears to actually gain a much more serious demeanor as well, losing the pose and looking straight at him. We'll tell you the story. There's a lot to it. Just the past isn't pretty.
Corbin gives a small chuckle to that. It's like, I'll say this. You're looking at a room where everyone's past is not pretty. We've all come from places that we'd rather not discuss.
And I've done things I wish I could have changed. I could see it all happening. Just couldn't do anything. But we want to go with you south. And we won't take no for an answer.
Corbin turns to Corin and Gria. Do you
Well,
all have any objections?
they held up their end of the deal, Corin says, looking at Corbin with a bit of an amused look. Looks like we won't be able to stop them either. And Grias looks over as well. No objections here.
Can I do an insight check on Gria? Like, did she
Yeah, go ahead.
trying to
You
hide
don't
something?
even. She's not trying to hide anything. But in this sense, just like simply examining her, he can tell that he is still distracted, even with this ridiculous situation going on. She's still a little bit distracted. She almost a little bit. She was almost scared to meet Corbin's eyes now, with the mask being gone. You can tell that something was a little bit off.
Corbin turns to Khan. Set. It's like, I see no problem with you all joining us. We welcome you to join us. Heading south. Do you need
Glad to hear this.
supplies or anything?
I believe we can handle that on our own. We wouldn't exactly be coming along as companions if we did not come prepared with our own belongings. Besides, we've already made the travel across the desert once. We can do it again, and it may help you to have a guide.
I would be most appreciative. Though you want to make the entire trek again. We have We have a friend who knows a way that makes a little shortcut.
That's good to
But
hear.
that'll save us plenty of time. In the
Well,
meantime, I suggest we all rest. I expect we will probably be leaving tomorrow, unless anyone needs to do anything. Corn kind of turns to corn.
I'm more or less good to go. Just,
All right,
we'll talk later.
very well.
Once we get going. I'd rather wait till we're out of the city. It's
Corman
something.
nods at this.
Not to mention, it looks like you'll have to get back a couple of your belongings before we head out, huh? Tomorrow morning, then?
Yep, that sounds good to me. Yes. I need to.
And are you bringing along Eliana? She whispers to Corbin.
Corbin kind of looks down and is like, I think it'd be safer to not to.
Well, you see
Still
Ka
not
steps
100%
forward now and grabs him firmly by the shoulder and hands him a small sort of disc-like object with a hollow center, almost like a large flat coin with a hole inside, like a disc, basically. Like a DVD disc. Hold on to this. This will protect the one that you need to keep close. There is no greater peace of mind than keeping the one that you care about within arm's reach.
Corbin grabs the disc.
This was used for a time, but we have no need of it any longer. I assure you, the peace of mind will mean a lot. And perhaps on this journey as well, you can find the answer that you're looking for.
Corbin nods. And I mean, out character wise, I'm assuming it's like some sort of like a storage container, or
Yeah, it can keep any living thing in stasis.
okay.
So
I mean,
nothing will come in harm. It's like a bag of holding for a person who's incapacitated.
Yeah, I mean that's what I figured. But I just do you want to say I can in character be like all the clues are there, but also be like just so we're clear.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
very yes. Don't worry. Out of character, I will explain it. Yeah, it's very clear what
Yeah.
it does. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna turn
I
into Demon
appreciate
Slayer.
it.
Just
I
strap her.
appreciate Ka.
I appreciate you allowing me to come with you on your journey.
Guess for the time being, it's best to all rest for the evening.
Yes, and we will meet you here in the morning at sunrise for our departure.
I'm
But
assuming we have plenty of space here. All one of us here.
I believe it is best if I make sure that my people are reassured for their first night here. This will be the last night I spend with them for quite some time, or... Regardless, I wish to spend some time with them. I need to make sure that my men too find a place. They're the most distrusting of all, and the ones I worry about the most.
I understand. Second, stay here if she so desires.
Well, there will be a time for that one day, I hope. You see, Set seems to already be heading towards the door. And one other thing. We are of many origins. You are from the east, I am from the south. And you have an unusual friend here. My apologies, I did not mean any offense by that, he says, referring to Gria. But one day, I hope, Pyramidion can find, well, all of us on far more friendly terms, should this journey be successful. I do not wish to see another age of bloodshed amongst us. I hope you see the same. He is turning out now, of course, like kind of flicking his cape behind him as it carries around as he heads towards the door with heavy footsteps. Until tomorrow, then.
Corbin can't help but say a little bit. So that's where she gets it from.
You see that he kind of stumbles on his way out, of course, as well. You see him grumbling to himself, I should have made the cape shorter. Before the door seems to close behind him. Well, there are a couple of characters, Doran says.
Yes, but it seemed like good people. Though I don't know if we will fulfill what they so desire. Obviously, she wants to be placed back on the throne.
Well, let me put it this way. You can't really stop someone from doing something that they've pursued their whole life, right? Either they'll do it or they'll die trying. You should know that best of all.
That's not the issue I'm saying. My issue is, depending on what Cordelia and Natalia are doing, would they be better fitted to be on the throne?
Don't think that's our problem, is it?
No.
All we know is that if Cordelia and Natalia are the ones that are threatening us, threatening our peace and our home, don't think we have much of a choice. You know what they're like.
Oh, I do. Just, there's a lot of unanswered questions I have. And unfortunately, it seems more are being added to it.
Since when aren't they? One thing at a time, though.
That's all we can do. Yeah.
Alright. So, after they've left already, it seems that there are a few lingering thoughts, but it looks like everyone seems to be wanting to at least catch some rest. Even Gria, too, seems a bit worn, even though she doesn't seem to have done much during the day. It seems she wishes to go find her own time in one of the extra rooms. And so she heads upstairs without much of a word. And Corin, too, kind of looks around. Well, I don't know. Guess we just wait for tomorrow. Never catch a second break, can we? Whatever.
Only small ones.
Well, don't stay up too late, she says. And heads
I don't plan
upstairs
to.
herself. So they disappear out of sight with the hollow footsteps on stone echoing and before disappearing away upstairs. And Corbin is left with his own devices. He imagines he probably has at least a couple of hours before his mask is returned. Although, even with all that conversation, he almost entirely forgot about the whole anger welling. Perhaps it was much more about a state of mind rather than a power that controls him. If controlling this emotion was so easy, well, he only wonders how easy it would be to incite it then.
Nothing really set him off during that conversation. So it's hard to. But still, at the same time, he doesn't want to take too many risks. Corbin set out his alchemy table and starts making some simple potions for the trip. Make sure he's well stocked.
Okay. You do that until she shows up?
Yeah.
Okay. And he continues to tinker for a little while before eventually he hears a very light banging on the door. He imagines to be Kiana with the mask.
Corbin goes to answer.
You see, as he opens it, it is her, and she has brought the mask. Although she has a much more serious look rather than the more carefree one she seems to bring around with her sometimes.
Hmm.
Got some results. I couldn't pry too far. There's some tools I just couldn't handle it. All right. Well, first of all, I'm going to be very, very serious with you right now. This mask? Well, let's start with soul energy. Have you been filled in on it?
Very little from Mir.
Yeah, figured as much. Something she wants to keep a secret. But fuck her orders. You don't seem like the kind to start spilling beans for no reason. So let's just keep this as part of the agreement. No one else needs to know. Soul energy is something that can be taken from anybody. With enough bodies, with enough dead people, you can probably make a few soul energy. About 10 makes one. More particular strong individuals or ones with a stronger will tend to be worth more. I'll tell you this mask is infused with something pretty damn powerful. And not just one, but 3. I don't know who they are, who they could have been, if they're a collection of people. All I know is that they're the only ones that's stopping you from being overtaken by whatever the hell it is you're trying to hide with this. And from what it looks like to me, your capability is a lot more dangerous. Don't lose it, first of all. Second of all, this thing is suppressing, and it won't last forever. I think this will only be a temporary solution. It'll work for now, but whatever it is that you're hiding under this mask, you need to learn what it is and you need to figure out how to control it before it controls you, because this is only a temporary solution. Just remember that.
Go ahead and put the mask back on. As I've been told. So for the most part, other than this, more souls required from it.
If there are
I
days
think it's
that comes where you think you've figured it out and you've got control of it, and you need to be really, really sure, I might be able to make something. Of course, it'll take some time and there are no guarantees. I might be able to make something that can, I guess, translate this soul energy back into what they originally were. I might be able to find out who it belonged to and what happened with it. All I know is that the one that gave this to you definitely made a sacrifice, and it wasn't her own.
by the way you say that, it sounds like you already know who.
I don't. I'm just saying that whoever it is that she sacrificed is in this mask. Soul energy is nothing but forced sacrifices anyways.
I'm referring to who made the mask.
Well, I've got my guesses. Not trying to point too many fingers. I don't know the circumstances, so I won't make any assumptions either. I'm just trying to tell you as objectively as possible.
And I appreciate it. There are questions I must ask this person. Hopefully during our travels.
Well,
But I would appreciate it if you, to those that you deem worthy of information, please let them know that the person who made the mask has gone through a lot, and she doesn't.
I don't think I'm gonna tell them. I don't think I'm gonna tell anyone. The knowledge of how it was made, that's for me to keep. And I can tell them however it is that I figured it out, however which way I decide to tell them. They don't need to know the specifics. That much I can think for myself. I don't exactly need those two making decisions for me.
And they're the ones making the decisions behind everything.
But a promise is a promise. You hold up your end of the deal, and I will too. No one will know about it. Your secret will be safe with me.
No, Corbin kind of bows his head slightly to Kiana. I appreciate what you've done.
And one more thing.
Yes.
At some point later, I do want to take another look at it. I have a bit of a hunch. But yeah, we'll get to that another time. You focus on what you need to do. And I'll do the same. And if something comes up, we'll let you know.
I'll do the same in Pyramidion. Good luck in Rio Canal.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're going with those two up there.
Of course. Yeah. We got a lot of stuff to worry about. Good luck.
You too.
You see, she heads towards the door and sees herself out.
Corbin goes, puts away his alchemy stuff. Goes to the door, make sure it's secure, and it's upstairs.
He can't help.
As he reaches,
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, as he reaches the top of the stairs, he kind of starts making his ways to Gria's room.
You see that her room is the door is left ajar.
Corbin pushes slightly, says, "Are you awake?"
Yeah, I'm always awake, she says, kind of lying on the bed facing the wall.
Corbin finds a chair in the room and kind of sits down. Is everything all right?
You see, she still faces the wall. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
By the way, you're saying that doesn't sound like it. You've been distracted all day. And when I didn't have the mask on, you wouldn't even look me in the eye.
I... You see that she's her breathing becomes a little bit heavier. She's almost beginning to... He can almost hear the sorrow in her voice. It's... I had to do it. I didn't know any other way. There wasn't much time left. What else could I have done? They said they wanted to do it. They said they did.
Who were they?
I... They believed that you were the only one who could save her. And they said that it was a thankless job and they didn't... This wasn't the way. It had to be a certain kind of soul. There wasn't anyone else who could do it. They were... There's no way for them to come back either. They never can. What's done is done. It's just the way soul energy works. There were some friends of yours.
From the previous world.
Yeah, from the previous world. You might have seen them here too. They wanted to make sure that you got to where you were going. And once they did that, that was the end of it.
Do you know their names?
You see that Gria turns around now with tears in her eyes. You already know who they are.
Corbin can't help but look down.
They
Those girls
believe
always knew how to protect. What did anything to protect her?
I tried to find another way. I did. I swear I did.
What's done is done, and I don't blame you for it.
How can't you blame me for it? I could have found another way. There were more things we could have done. There's
Didn't have the time.
never enough time. Before them, before it, we had used what was left to send them here, to lead you to her. They were in this world for so little time. But they still believed that it was the only way. But even now, you have her, and it's not over still. They made that sacrifice for nothing.
Please don't blame yourself for this. I know you did everything you can.
But
I
with
don't blame you
what
for
to
it.
show for it? With what to show for it? Your princess is sitting there in a coma. And the sacrifice they made did nothing. Because we couldn't save her.
But is she dead? Is she truly gone? I'm not stopping here. There's the answers out there I'm willing to seek. And obviously Khan said it had some of those, but also most of it will lead to Alcaria. I ain't done fighting. I ain't done searching. And I'll keep searching until I die. I know you went through a lot. And I don't know if the full of it. My time with you has been short. In the grand scheme of things. But know this. You have my I trust you to you're one of the few people in this world, probably in all the worlds, that I truly trust. Even though, as I said, even though our time was short, I felt that from the start. When you met us on the beach, for some reason I had the sensation that you meant us no harm. And now the time is learning alchemy.
I know you can say that to me because you don't know what I've done. What I've had to do. This is only the part of the surface. This This is just one of many things. Yet somehow it can still just weigh me down this much.
And when you're willing, I'll be here to listen. When you're willing to share.
How can you say that to someone like me?
I've done my own dark things. With that, Corbin heads out the room.
You see, as he leaves her behind, she still stares at his back, still almost beginning to, she turns around in silence as he can hear her sobbing very quietly to herself in the darkness. As he closes her door, he's echoing the wood on the stone chamber, leaves them behind. As he steps out, if she won't fight for herself, then he'll fight for her too.
Time to make Rhea happy.
God, you're fucking dad, dude. What's wrong with you? Alright.
I thought she could be the chairperson of the party. Nope, I apparently being the dad of 3. Ah.
You carry the princess on your back. You have first daughter, now you have second daughter. Now you've got third sand daughter. Yeah, that one's adopted. Yikes. Came with a babysitter, though. Alright. And so, Corbin, after this long day of talks and this bit of a heavy-handed situation, he hopes maybe to get some rest before the next day. The journey's only just beginning, in more ways than one. He feels he's so close, but so far at the same time. But stressing about it won't get him anywhere. All he thinks about now is some comfortable sheets and covers.
Corbin can't help but look at the mask, knowing that the three girls that were sacrificed to make it. Figure out how to get free. Make sure their mission isn't over.
Yeah, even
I
with
find a way to actually free her.
And even in their thankless sacrifice, they had asked for no glory, no thanks, no reward. They simply did what they had to. And that much is admirable. More than anything, that kind of dedication to the ones that he cares about, he'll never forget this moment. And so he lays the masks to his side to catch his rest for the beginning of his journey. Okay. I kind of want to stop there. It feels like a really good stop.
Yeah, it sounds appropriate place to stop.